outside the blood vessel, and that will begin to alert the immune system. And then it becomes a whole different ball game as to how the immune system will handle it.
Okay.
So we'll have a receptor that picks up on something, like stretch. It will take the information to my central nervous system, brain, spinal cord. There will be an area that will integrate that information. We have different areas of the brain that monitor stimuli from inside of our body, okay? It'll integrate the information. It will determine an effect, meaning if my stomach needs to stretch to accommodate what I'm eating, it will allow that to take place. The effector, meaning that organ will contain those receptors for the response, okay, will carry out the effect. So once again, we have created an arc that's present. So that information from the viscera, okay, will come in to the area that it's supposed to, make its way to an integrating center that will give us an effect and bring it out to the organ that needs it. So we have created an arc. Because this is dealing with adjusting viscera, not controlling it, it is termed the efferent pathway. Because the goal is to get it to give an effect. A good example. Do y'all know about baroreceptors? Okay, well, baroreceptors, they detect stretch in the arteries. And therefore, they're located in the aorta as it leaves the heart. And this means that blood pressure coming out of the heart will either create the proper amount of stretch on that aorta, or not enough, or too much. And the goal, of course, with our blood pressure, keep it in the norm. So if those baroreceptors pick up any change in the stretch of that aorta, it sends that information to the area of the brain where the brain can integrate it and create a response. It goes to what we know, and we'll learn this, it goes to what we know as the pacemaker of the heart. And it will either make that heartbeat go up or go down, so that we can actually affect the blood leaving the heart and the stretch of the aorta, which is extremely important. All right? If you have ever had or known someone with high blood pressure, all right, that's tough. Okay? So it's important for the body to meet the demand of that. So that's an example of the arc. There was no control of the actual heartbeat. There was simply adjustment. Okay? So it worked by way of my efferent neuron, the one going back to the heart. Does that make sense? Okay? The two divisions of this system, they often, note not all, often innervate the same organ. Often, not all. Okay? They may cooperate or they may work against each other. The two divisions, sympathetic, parasympathetic. You hear the term sympathetic, and you automatically think of someone being sympathetic. Oh, you know, I'm so sorry, you know, that happened. You know, I'm sorry that you're having to go through this. No, somebody was being funny in lab that day. Okay? Our sympathetic division is not sympathetic at all. Okay? Our sympathetic division prepare the body for fight or flight. Meaning, get the body ready to fight or run. So to do that, what does the body do? What happens to our body if we either need to fight or flee? Huh? Do what all? All right, we might get that adrenaline rush. Actually, it's going to channel it away from the core, send it to our skeletal muscles. It'll shut down our digestion. Which I kind of find odd because they say it's supposed to like shut down the urinary system, but a lot of times you get scared to kind of pee yourself, you know? So you got all, I'm like, huh, what? Okay, well maybe that's just a, you know, a side part that happens. I don't know. But then you've got heart rate increasing, respiration rate increasing, your pupils dilate, all right? Because you're getting ready to fight for your life or you're getting ready to run for your life. Not sympathetic at all. All right? So the sympathetic prepares us for that fight or flight. Once the fight has occurred or you flee and you're now back in safety, and you're just like, oh man, did you see that? You know, and you're like, that's your parasympathetic. The parasympathetic's like, why'd you get so upset? I didn't need to break your heart rate that high. What are you doing? Stop. Parasympathetic wants to calm it down. Meaning, blood would come back to our core. Digestion would start back up. We would begin to let things move so that we can move the waste from the body. Because if sympathetic kicks in, the cells are demanding high amounts of energy, meaning they're carrying out a whole bunch of chemical reactions, i.e. like cellular respiration, well, most likely glycolysis, to give us ATP. We're creating a lot of waste that we got to get rid of. All right? And so parasympathetic wants to say, hold up, let that digestion kick back in, let the blood flow go back, drink some water, okay, move the waste out, blah, blah, blah. Kind of cool, isn't it? I think it is, but that's just me. So, these two divisions, having the one that will ramp the body up, the other one that's going, calm down. And what's that little meme that goes around? There's never been any time in history that someone calmed down by being told to calm down, you know? So sometimes that goes with this system also. Ooh, I should start a meme about that. Because they talk about the meme and, you know, in relationship to people. I should add, and the autonomic nervous system. Ooh, I wonder how well that would go over. That would be fun. How do y'all create a meme?
See the one about salt?
About what?
About salt. I'm intelligent about salt, but now.
I guess I got, what, you kind of create something and then what, put it like on your Facebook page or something? And let it start? Anyway, okay, so I might have to think about that. So what we end up getting, because we've got one system that's kind of ramping stuff up, one system that's kind of calming stuff down, the two working together give us tone.
When people are like bipolar or schizophrenic, is this thrown off?
No, it's going to end up being neurotransmitters in the brain. Yeah. Doesn't mean that that does not create effects or effects upon systems, because it will. But the actual problem is due to neurotransmitters in the brain that are not working right. Yeah. So keeping the tone, keeping it just a little bit ready, keeping it a little bit calmed down, it really allows for meeting the needs of the body. Because parasympathetic tone, it helps keep smooth muscle ready. Like, for example, when we eat and digestion needs to occur, it helps keep the heart rate down. Normally, whatever the norm is for you, okay, that's dependent on a lot of factors, but hopefully keeps it within the norm. Sympathetic helps keep our blood vessels partially constricted, affecting blood pressure. So it's like this, it's like, okay, I've got one, I got the other, they can definitely like just be going against each other, but then at the same time, when things are pretty much just supposed to be going like they're supposed to, they're like, oh, okay, well you do that, I do this, and it keeps the whole working.
So it's similar to like the action potential for your
Yes.
muscles.
Yes. Very similar to what we would think of as keeping the tone in either the muscle, a little bit in the nervous system, because we need to make sure that the skeletal muscles are ready to move. This helps keep my viscera going and ready to meet demands of my body. For example, right now, as you're sitting, you don't have a lot of demands for blood flow to your big toe. All right? You don't have a lot of demands for blood flow to your gastrocnemius muscle. You've got a lot of stuff that could be doing in the core, keeping your heartbeat, respiration going, digestion going if you ate breakfast, okay? But in a few minutes, we'll take a break. You've got to be able to get up out of the seat and go, and the body's got to meet the demand of getting the blood flow to your lower limbs to do that without you falling over and going kaput. And it will do that. Why? Because when you stand up out of your chair, and this is how quick it happens. When you stand up out of the chair, when you get up to stand up, that means the entire blood pressure from your lower body, which is going to affect your upper body, had to change, and the body meets that demand to get the blood flow to your big toes, which means it's got to go through all the lower limbs, through the feet to the toe, okay, to get it ready. And it did it like that, so that when you got up out of that chair, you didn't keep going. That's how quick it occurs. Tell me that's not cool.
I have a question, kind of about this. When I run, my feet go numb.
Ah.
What's that about? Ooh. I wouldn't do that.
Have you had any type of workups done lately? I would start me personally.